Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Anna Manuel. An underwater study of Seneca Lake is almost complete. So, what kind of secrets lie under the surface? Our Josh Feldberg found out.
The Seneca Lake Survey Project is headed by nautical archaeologist Art Cohn. Cohn teamed up with the Finger Lakes Boating Museum to begin the project back in 2019 to discover just what exactly has been lost to Seneca Lake over the years.
And he wanted to do some underwater sonar scanning of the bottom of the lakes in the Finger Lakes. And so we thought it would be a great matchup, so we agreed to do that. The Board of Trustees agreed to work with Art.
Cohn and his team took underwater sonar scans of Seneca Lake and discovered over 100 targets.
Well, there were a number of finds under the water, mostly canal boats that were used primarily mid-1800s and later.
With over 100 possible shipwrecks found at the bottom of Seneca Lake, the team will now use underwater drone cameras and divers to go down and confirm the findings. These findings will result in rich history about Seneca Lake and the steamboat era. I'm at the Finger Lakes Boating Museum. When the Seneca Lake Survey Project final report comes in, the museum is thinking of developing a whole new wing dedicated to the findings. None of the shipwrecks are planned to be pulled out of the water, as this often ends up in the destruction of the wrecks. However, pictures and models of the wrecks will be available for display. Cohn will be revealing his detailed findings later in September at the Boating Museum and at Watkins Glen Elementary.
It really goes to show how important the canal system was in westward expansion. I mean, everything was brought out west through the canal system, through the Erie Canal, and the Finger Lakes were heavily used in that whole westward expansion. So it's a real look back at the birth of America.
Josh Feldberg, Big Fox News, Hammondsport.
The former Bryant Elementary School in Hornell is being reimagined as affordable housing. Construction has begun on the $14 million rebuilding of the school as apartments. The Bryant School apartments will consist of 23 one-bedroom, 14 two-bedroom, and 2 studio apartments. 20 of the apartments will be affordable to households earning at or above 50% of the area median income. The former Toys R Us in Big Flats will become a car wash this fall. Construction can currently be seen at the former toy store, both inside and out. Openings have already been made for the cars that will soon be passing through it. Valet Auto Wash's website says that the Big Flats Car Wash is coming soon. A senior helper center has opened in Elmira. The center offers a number of services such as companion care, Alzheimer's and dementia care, as well as end-of-life support care. The center is located at 116 North Main Street and is open 24/7. For more information, you can visit the website on your screen. Corning Incorporated announced that they will open a new fiber optics cable plant in Arizona. The company says that the new manufacturing facility will be located in Gilbert, Arizona. The facility will create 250 new jobs and expand Corning's investments in optical fiber, cable, and connectivity solutions. The annual Dansville Festival of Balloons is taking place this weekend. The 41st celebration of the festival begins this Friday and ends Monday, September 5th. The festival will have 6 scheduled balloon launches where all the hot air balloons will launch together over the course of the weekend. Private and tethered hot air balloon rides are also available. Admission is $5 and it kicks off at 4 p.m. on Friday at the Dansville Municipal Airport. Starting tomorrow, Times Square in New York City will be designated a gun-free zone. There will be signs posted leading into Times Square, but as Morgan McKay reports, City Council members are concerned that there hasn't been enough outreach and people may miss the signs.
This is what will be posted at every entry point to Times Square starting on Thursday. Signs that say gun-free zone. But will it be enough?
It would have to be much larger for people to really notice it because there are dozens of signs on each pole coming into and out of Manhattan, so it would be easy to miss.
City Council members holding a hearing on how to define Times Square, marking out 2 adjoining sections that will ban guns. After the Supreme Court struck down New York's century-old concealed carry law, the state passed numerous bills that will strengthen the state's gun laws while also creating sensitive areas where guns can still be banned. This will include subways, schools, private businesses, and of course, Times Square. But as council members point out, there has been a noticeable lack of messaging reminding legal gun owners of the changes.
I haven't heard not one thing, not one sign, not anything. I think, and September 1st, again, is literally around the corner. So this should have happened last week.
Certainly, we are trying to push out as much information to our licensees. As I mentioned, our website's being updated.
The new law also requires applicants to get 16 hours of hands-on gun training and turn over 3 years of social media posts to prove they are of good moral character. With crime surging and over 3,000 gun arrests so far this year, the New York City police are preparing for these changes. Robert Barrows with the NYPD assured council members the dedicated Times Square patrol unit is ready.
And I think it's important to just note that this isn't necessarily a sea change from what our officers are doing now. There have always been essentially gun-free areas in New York City.
So those small gun-free zone signs will be temporary. The NYPD says they will eventually be posting larger, more permanent signs. Now, if you do have a concealed carry permit and you carry a gun in one of these sensitive areas, you could be charged with a Class E felony.
President Biden in the swing state of Pennsylvania, hoping to give Democrats a boost on an issue that's become a vulnerability for them: crime. Polls show voters favor Republicans on the issue. Madeline Rivera has more.
As summer winds down, the campaign trail is heating up. With just 10 weeks to go before Election Day, President Biden is focusing on the alarming spike in crime.
When it comes to public safety in this nation, the answer is not defund the police, it's fund the police.
The president laid out his Safer America plan, a $37 billion proposal aimed at boosting law enforcement and reducing crime, which includes hiring and training 100,000 police officers over 5 years. And he sharpened his attacks on Republicans, criticizing them for some of their rhetoric against the FBI, following the search of former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago home.
It's sickening to see the new attacks on the FBI, threatening the life of law enforcement agents and their families for simply carrying out the law and doing their job.
A Fox News poll shows 54% of voters see Republicans doing a better job on crime than Democrats.
The American people know that the Democrat Party is the party of defund the police.
Tuesday's speech is just one of 3 stops that the president is expected to make in Pennsylvania over the next week. The battleground state is holding competitive gubernatorial and Senate races, the latter crucial in deciding control of Congress in November.
He needs Trump. He needs Trump to be the villain in his play.
President Biden is set to return to Pennsylvania Thursday to deliver a primetime speech invoking his 2020 campaign theme about the battle for the soul of the nation. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
We have your complete forecast next. Plus, quiet firing. We have a look at the growing trend that has employees across the nation looking for a new job.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Conditions have been drying out and bringing in some sunshine as we stepped into our last day of August. Now, looking at our precipitation from yesterday, we have just a general contour of a lighter green, and that did bring in just about 1/4 of an inch into the Elmira area, generally about 1/10 of an inch across the region. So we didn't have a soaking pattern, but we totaled up anywhere from just about 3/10 of an inch up to about 1/2 inch of rainfall over the last 48 hours. But we did dry out today. We worked in some times of sunshine. There is some weak showers showers pushing on through the Finger Lakes, but most of that is dissipating as a secondary cold front shifts into the state and brings in some cooler conditions. Now, we only topped off into those upper 70s and lower 80s, but with that secondary push of that frontal system, we'll watch that those clear and calm skies will fall back into those 50s through the overnight. Might see again a few stray showers, some patchy fog with this both Thursday and Friday morning, but overall September is going to start off on a fall note. Now we see that we begin meteorological fall. Now meteorological means that we track more of a scientific month-to-month forecast where we track our data from about September, October, November for your meteorological. Now astronomical fall, that will be when we talk about more of the how the sun is moving and that sun angle, as that's when we really start to decrease that daylight once we hit that astronomical fall just into the middle of the month. But as we start off the month on a cooler note, note that we do have a quick turnaround. We're back up into the 80s as soon as that Friday forecast, but note into the weekend it could be slightly sticky. Dew points will climb, but that stickiness is the moisture that's back into the air that could fuel a few storms starting Saturday and lasting into that Labor Day forecast. But rolling into what's expected as we head into our Thursday, first day of fall, as mentioned, we have that comfortable start to the day, and then with that northwesterly wind and dominance that shouldn't be too strong, is going to keep temperatures struggling to climb as we'll top off just around those mid 70s. So we're talking about 5 degrees below that average. That does settle just around about 80 degrees this time of the year. Even a few locations into the Finger Lakes could hold into those lower 70s. But as mentioned, it doesn't take long for those temperatures to turn around. We're back into those lower 80s all across the area starting on Friday, and mentioning that we're back into those 80s. We also have a little bit of that humidity working its way back in. Now, not too bad on Friday, but noting those dew points back into those 60s Saturday and Sunday, that's mainly going to be a little bit of stickiness, but we're mainly going to see that that's going to be fuel for some afternoon showers and thunderstorms, and that's mainly where our storm chances will fall, is into those evening hours. There will be a small chance on Saturday, but it's very, very small. More just going to see an uptick in some of that cloud cover, and that will be your warmest day with a high temperature even flirting with a 90-degree marker. We'll have some isolated storms possible Sunday, Monday, and into Tuesday. Again, mainly afternoon hours, so if you're planning that outdoor barbecue, make sure to keep your eye on the sky as well as on that radar, but it should be pretty isolated. However, it'll be associated with a frontal system that will knock those temperatures back down towards average into the first full week of September.
The quiet quitting trend is when workers do the minimum amount of work. Now that's giving way to quiet firing. Madison Allworth breaks it all down.
Quiet quitting has been a movement on social media. Employees doing less at work, but still bringing home the same pay. But now, some of those employees are facing the consequences. Nearly half of workers have seen quiet firing happening at their offices. That's loosely defined by when an employee does not get raises, loses responsibility, and is generally passed up for any sort of advancement. The hope is they eventually leave on their own. Both quiet quitting and firing happens when the employee is not engaged, which 54% of the youngest workers says is the case. Some will choose to find new jobs or careers. For those that choose quiet quitting, experts warn it not only puts you in danger at your current job, but it could have longer-term effects on your career.
The thing about quiet quitting is that it's intentional and voluntary. It's not like burnout, which is involuntary and you really can't control it. This is a choice. You're creating this cognitive dissonance in your own head. Over time, though, what that means is that there's a chance that you might sort of slack off in other ways that you don't even notice.
Gina and others argue it's dangerous to lean into that unhappiness because it not only doesn't solve your problems, it also doesn't help with your future jobs, which you might like more.
People across the country are getting ready to travel for the Labor Day holiday. Joe Bethayathil shares a few tips that could make your journey a little smoother this year.
A new survey from AAA shows that 1/3 of all Americans plan to travel this Labor Day weekend. According to the survey, the top 2 Labor Day weekend destinations are both in the western part of the U.S., Las Vegas and San Diego. But of course, many people will visit a destination closer to home. So here's some things to keep in mind no matter where you are headed. First, if you are flying, the FAA is warning that flight disruptions will likely stick around this fall. Labor shortages combined with pent-up travel demand are still a main concern, causing long lines, lost baggage, flight cancellations, and delays. In other words, give yourself some extra time to get to your flight, and AAA points out that early morning flights are less likely to be postponed or canceled. But more than 80% of people traveling on Labor Day weekend are expected to travel by car. So here are some other things to keep in mind. Even though gas prices have come down recently, they're still much higher than a year ago. So To maximize gas efficiency, be sure to have your tires properly inflated. A pack light, a heavier load, is much more taxing on your car. Don't gun it. Aggressive driving is not only unsafe, but it also impacts your mileage. And you might think that opening a window is more fuel efficient than air conditioning, but that's not always the case, because at high speeds, an open window can create drag, and that will require more fuel consumption. And this is one of the busiest weekends of the year on the Oregon coast. So if you're headed out there, a couple things to keep in mind. Leave early if you can, because by Friday afternoon, that drive will be very, very slow. Do not expect to just show up and find a hotel room or a campsite. The vast majority will already be booked. And that return trip on Sunday or Monday is often the slowest drive of them all, especially mid-afternoon. You can expect to move very slowly on highways 26 and 18, so plan accordingly.
Still ahead, a rise in jewelry thefts targeting the elderly has law enforcement issuing a warning. That story and more coming up. A new type of crime targeting the elderly is popping up around the country. Law enforcement officials describe it as distraction jewelry thefts. People walk up to an elderly person, talk them up, and then brazenly rob them of their jewelry. Ed Laskos is in Glendale, California, where several of these thefts were caught on camera.
They are looking for the target because they are con artists. They know what to do.
Con artist, he calls these thieves, who were caught red-handed on this security video targeting his 84-year-old mother.
It was so scary. After that, my mom doesn't want to come out. She's traumatized and she doesn't want to sit outside.
It all goes down in less than a minute, maybe just 45 seconds or so. The first woman wanting to give the elderly victim jewelry, then a second woman moves in, continuing with the distraction, kissing the victim's hand, even trying unsuccessfully to slip a ring off the victim's finger. A young boy also part of that distraction. Look at him, lifting up his shirt to hide the crime as it goes down from passing neighbors. As the women pull off their switch, exchanging the fake necklace for the real one.
The ladies start putting the necklace around my mom. My mom thought that they want to put the necklace to show how nice it is. But in reality, they were trying to take the necklace, the real one, out.
This, the latest in a series of what police are calling distraction jewelry thefts, all to hit Glendale. Investigators out with this map showing the nearly 24 locations targeted through the city since June. Different locations here, but always with the same MO, offering free jewelry or asking for directions. This video shows a similar theft last May, this one in West LA. Again, it's an elderly victim targeted even while she's out sitting on her own front porch. Watch that same distraction, kissing the victim's hand, see it there? And in just seconds, the thief is gone, and so is the victim's expensive jewelry. That brings this direct warning from the latest victim's family to these thieves who go out and actually target elderly women.
Or sooner or later, karma going to catch you. So, yes, you're going to get some money now, but pretty soon it's going to be trouble.
Americans might have to pay for COVID shots starting next year. A social media company is laying off 20% of its workforce, and Christmas decorations are surfacing at stores across the U.S. Madison Allworth has today's business briefs.
Starting next year, Americans may have to start paying for their own COVID shots. The federal government anticipates it will stop purchasing and providing shots as soon as January due to a lack of funding. Meanwhile, Goldman Sachs is lifting all of its COVID protocols, the Wall Street giant telling employees in a memo that it will no longer require vaccines, COVID testing, or masks. Goldman and other major banks like Morgan Stanley are expecting employees to return to the office 5 days a week after Labor Day, citing the diminished severity of the current COVID-19 strain and the need for employees to increase productivity. Snap Inc., parent company of Snapchat, is believed to be cutting 20% of its staff. The Verge is reporting Snap has a staff of more than 6,400. The cuts are a reaction to a downturn in online advertising and affect teams building Snap's apps, games, and glasses. And it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Stores across the country already displaying holiday items. Shoppers taking to social media to share their shock. Costco and Sam's Club put up their Christmas displays this month and are offering Christmas trees for as low as $49, while Home Depot had theirs up in mid-July.
Bed Bath & Beyond is making some major changes to improve its financial situation and revive the business. It has secured $500 million in new financing, and it plans to close about 150 lower-producing Bed Bath & Beyond banner stores. It also plans to bring back some popular national brands and will reduce its workforce by some 20% across its corporate and supply chain staff. They say they will also discontinue 3 of their own brands, Haven, Wild Sage, and Studio 3B. Bye Bye Baby will remain part of Bed Bath & Beyond. Stay with us, we'll have more right after this. We want to leave you with a smile. Check out this bear caught on video swimming across Lake McClure in California Tuesday morning. Ryan Cook captured the moment, at first thinking the bear was just a floating log. The bear eventually makes it across the lake, gets on shore, and dashes up some nearby rocks. I'm Scott Beadle. Thanks so much for watching.